90.5 WESA celebrates people making a difference is made possible by UPMC. More information available at upmc.com. UPMC, life-changing medicine.
Every week we profile someone in our region that is making a difference in people's lives as part of 90.5 WESA Celebrates.
Go ahead. This is so cool. Did you make a person? On a motorcycle.
Vanessa German is an artist and performer determined to make her neighborhood of Homewood a safer place, especially for the children. It began a few years ago on her front porch where Vanessa German did her art. She would paint and sculpt, and kids would gather around after school, watching and participating. In this violence-stricken area, it became a safe haven for them.
And the kids in the neighborhood would see me making things, and they would say, "Can we come and help?" And eventually I pulled out a box of old paint from my basement, and anything that was available on the porch to be painted. It's like there was scrap wood, pieces of slate from a roof of a house that was demolished up the street. There were cardboard boxes, anything.
It kept the kids off the streets and engaged in something creative and fun and away from the violence.
I call it Love Front Porch because I believe in the power of love. I always think about how Martin Luther King said, "There's a power in love that the world hasn't discovered yet." I thought that by sharing something I loved, it would create more love. So it's on my front porch and it's love. It's what I love.
As the popularity of the Love Front Porch grew, Vanessa needed more space to include more kids. Fortunately, the vacant house across the street was lent to her, which is now known as the Art House.
You know, the reality is that the Art House is at a corner where there's a ton of drug dealing and prostitution. That's on the street. The fact that the Art House is here and there's so much of that type of activity around, it's inescapable and it's so obvious, it's so present. It's other own kind of culture on the street, and while they're at the house, we're at the house, and you create, and there's fun, and we turn on the radio, and we sing, and we laugh, and we dance, and I make sure everybody gets home safe.
The kids in the neighborhood love being at the Art House with Vanessa. It's a bright spot in their day.
I'm glad that she does this. I'm glad that she has this art house for people to do art paintings and do lots of things and make people and do things in here, and then she creates all the snacks and food and stuff, and that's a great thing. She just inspires me.
We have to paint and how not to be violent and not to mess with other people.
Vanessa has seen too much violence firsthand in her neighborhood, but has refused to accept it as a given.
How we made the play. I didn't realize how many friends I had who had buried their children, like within the past 6 or 7 years. And the grief of that and the sorrow of like looking in their faces and not being able to say anything worthwhile that could manage the grief and the trauma and the horror of having lost their child, and then to recognize that they're still in an environment where the same kind of violence keeps happening.
Then one day she had an idea to make signs that could perhaps help eradicate some of the violence.
I had been sitting on my front porch one day. It was 3:30 and the buses were about to come, and I heard a bunch of gunshots. I heard exchange of gunfire where you hear like 6 shots and then a break, and then 5 shots and then a break. And so I knew that it was an exchange. So I was like, wow, that's a lot of gunshots, and the buses are about to let out. And I just decided that I didn't want to be, I didn't want to just feel bad anymore. I didn't want to just be sad anymore.
So Vanessa used some of her grant money from her art to create signs that say, "Stop the shooting, we love you." They're peppered all over Homewood and surrounding areas.
But I thought to myself, one day somebody with a gun could be driving down the street and all of a sudden just see this sign that says "Stop shooting, we love you," and be so experience a shift just in the confrontation of a sign saying "we love you," and maybe they would think about being loved by somebody, and that would be enough to make them keep driving straight instead of turning left or right to go and shoot somebody. And I know that the people I know in prison who killed somebody, wish so badly that they had made a different decision.
Her idea has also spread beyond Pittsburgh, with signs now popping up in many states all across the country. If you know someone who deserves recognition, nominate them to be featured at wesa.fm/difference.
90.5 WESA celebrates people making a difference, is supported by UPMC.